Third graders, today we're going to be using our rounding skills to estimate our addends, which will then help us find an estimated sum when we're adding two numbers together. Let's remind ourselves what addends are and sums are. Our first numbers that we're going to be adding together are 97 and 76. These two numbers that we're adding together are called addends, and hopefully you are reviewing your math vocabulary that I put out on the first day of this unit so that you will be used to calling those addends. And the answer, if we were adding it exactly, would be called the sum, right? But today we're going to estimate our addends, and we're going to also estimate our sum. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. If I was going to round this number, what would you round it to? What is 97 close to? Is it close to 90 or 100? And most of you probably said 100. Probably noticed that there's already 9 tens, and you are more than halfway to another group of tens, 10 for real. 5 is halfway to 10, you have 7. So you really are close to having another group of 10. So you probably feel fine about rounding that to 100. It is very close. Plus, what would we round 76 to? 76 closer to 70 or 80? Well, let's check it out. There's already 7 tens, but I'm asking myself, I'm looking next door, really to analyze how much I have in addition to that one group, the 7 group of tens. I have 6 ones. What's halfway to another group of 10? 5 ones. So I have more than halfway to another group of 10, so I can consider it another group of 10 because it's close enough when I'm estimating. So 100 plus 80, those are our estimated addends. And if I'm going to estimate my sum, we're going to use the symbol. It looks like a squiggly equal sign, but it means approximately. So 97 and 76 adds up to approximately 180. So that's our estimated and our estimated sums. Let's do another one. 318 plus 48. Okay, let's round our addends. 318, what's that close to? Some of you might have said, well, Miss Wessel, there's one group of 10 and 30 groups of 10. So there's 31 groups of 10, and I'm more than halfway to another group of 10. You might have said, that's closer to 32 groups of 10, which is the same thing as 320. But someone else might have said, no, Miss Wessel, I think it's closer to 300. Who's right? Well, actually, they're both right, depending on the place value place they rounded to. This student rounded to the nearest tens place. So he considered all the tens that were in the number, stopped at the tens place, and then thought about, am I halfway to another 10? And yes, he was. So he got 2 tens instead of 1 10. But the other student said, I'm just going to think about how many, I'm going to round this to the nearest hundreds. So that person said, I have 3 hundreds. Am I halfway to another group of 100? Let's consider this whole amount. What is halfway to? What's the midpoint between 0 and 100? 50, right? Because 50 and 50 equals 100. Does he have or she have 50? Less than halfway to 100? Halfway to 100 or more than halfway to 100? 18 is less than 50, so it's less than 100. So that's why the person rounded it to 300. They said it's closest to 300. So you can see you'll come up with a slightly different number depending on what place value place you round it to. And there's reasons why you might want to round it to different ones in different situations. But what we need to know now is when we're rounding, the place value place that we round to will have an impact on our final estimation. How about 48? What's 48 closer to? We have 4 tens already. We're more than halfway to another group of 10. So I bet most of you said that's close to 50. So this person, if they're finding an estimate of these two addends, they would say 370. This person, if they are rounding, they still got 50. So there's really not another choice in that one. That person would get 350. And even though they're slightly different, they're pretty close. One isn't 50 and one's 370. That would not be very close. We'd have to look at that again. But 350 and 370 are quite close. We should feel very comfortable about having those be our estimates. We'll find that estimating is always a good idea before you do any kind of operation, adding and subtracting, even multiplying and dividing. If you can do the operation with rounded numbers with lots of zeros in them, you'll get an idea of what the final accurate answer would be, or the exact answer. So we'll be doing lots of rounding and estimating when we are adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Let's do another one. 247 plus 617. 247 plus 617. Those are our addends. Let's round it. What's this one closer to? I'm going to give you a little bit to think about that one. What would you estimate this number to be closer to? I bet some of you said, oh, that's closer to 250. Why? Because there's 24 tens in it already, and I'm halfway, more than halfway to another group of 10. So it makes sense that that's like 25 tens, right? 250. But another person might have said, no, I think it's close to 200. What did they do? Maybe that was you that did this. Maybe you rounded it to the nearest hundredths place instead. You said there's definitely 200. But if I consider what else is in the number, the rest, this is all one number, right? 47 is not halfway to another group of 100. So I really, in this amount, don't have halfway to another 100. So I really can't say that it's close to 300. I'd have to keep it at 200. It's almost there, right? But if we follow the rules of rounding, we would say it's 200. Plus, what did you say for this one, 670? I'm wondering if you were the student that said, oh, this is closer to 620. This is around 620. Or were you the student that said, 617 would round to 600? I definitely have 600 and I'm not even close to halfway to another group of 100. So I really can't say it's closer to 700. So I wonder which one you were. If you're the person that rounded to the tens place, your final 250 and 620, and you would have gotten 870. And remember, I'm doing this wiggly sign so that I can say that it's approximately. And this one would just be plain old 800. Again, they're not exact, but they're in the same ballpark. They're still in the same basic amount. Okay, so today we're going to be working around with some estimating our addends and finding estimated sums. Okay, do your best.